Continuing on with our human genetics notes, we're going to talk about a pedigree. And a pedigree is a chart that the genetic history of a family over time, over several generations, is a way to actually show or map out a specific characteristic. Scientists or a genetic counselor would find out about your family history and make this chart in order to analyze how a trait was passed through different generations. So here's what a pedigree chart looks like. As you can see, it's just a lot of circles and squares, and we're going to go through and identify each one of the parts and pieces. So a circle is going to represent a female, and a square is going to represent a male. A horizontal line connecting the male and the female represent a marriage. So this line right here between this male and female indicates that those two people are married. A vertical line and a bracket connect the parents to their children. So the vertical line and this particular bracket here indicates that these are the 4 children from this particular set of parents. A half-shaded circle or square indicates that that person is a carrier of the trait. And a carrier of the trait would mean that if we're talking about dominant and recessive, remember capital R is dominant and little r is recessive. And what this means is when they're a carrier of the trait, that would mean that they have, you do not see this particular trait. So they carry it, they don't actually show it. And this was kind of talked about in Lorenzo's oil, where it said that some of the females were carriers, but some of their children didn't show the trait. And we'll talk more about this when we talk about sex-linked traits in the future. A completely shaded circle or square indicates that that person expresses the trait. So once again, if you see something like this that's all shaded in, that means that you can see the trait. And then finally, a circle or a square that is not shaded indicates that a person neither expresses the trait nor is a carrier of the trait. So if we look back on our pedigree, mom is a carrier, daughter is a carrier, son shows the trait. Then we have this son showing the trait and these 2 daughters as carriers. This would be a pedigree of the royal family in England, and it shows how hemophilia, and hemophilia is a blood disorder. And how it is passed down through the generations. As you can see here, Queen Victoria, she is a carrier. We've got Alice, that is a carrier. And then we've got Leopold, which is a son of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, who has the disorder. Beatrice is a carrier. Irene is a carrier. This boy has the disorder. Carrier, carrier, disorder, disorder, carrier, disorder, 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 disorder. Now you may see a pattern when it comes to this particular type of disorder. Females, all the females are your carriers, and all your males ended up with the disorder. The other interesting thing about this pedigree is this person had no children. No children, 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 no children. That would mean that they died. Because of this particular blood disorder, it causes you to bleed to death. Your blood does not clot in hemophilia. Leopold here was the lone person that lived long enough to have a child. So Leopold here is very unique in that, once again, he lived long enough to have a child, who in turn was a carrier. But she then married someone, and then they had a child who had the disorder. So we're going to talk about hemophilia is a sex-linked trait, and we're going to talk more about that when we talk about sex-linked traits. But once again, here would be an example of a pedigree of the royal family.